What's going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, hanging out today, playing some Idle Heroes. I want to thank you guys so much for coming out with me today. If you liked the video, don't forget, smash that thumbs up button to show your support. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright guys, we're here today on the official server to talk about the new events, but if you guys notice a little change in the audio quality or whatnot, it's because my mic busted. It was a sad day. Last night I plugged in, I was making my video, went through and was editing, and it didn't make any noise about halfway through the video. I was like, a lot of troubleshooting and testing went on. One of my phone crapped out, but whatever. It was the mic. The mic died. Headphones still work. Mic is dead. So we're in the process of getting a new headset. Had to borrow one. Hopefully it works okay for you guys. We'll see how it sounds. But today, new events. Before we jump into those, there's been a couple hero changes. I can actually only find one of them if you look in here, the notice area. It does say Jara was adjusted, but on the Facebook release of the patch notes, they don't even mention Jara, so I don't know if they changed her or not because I don't really know. I haven't stared at 10-star Jara's stat screen enough to think she's been changed, but it looks very much the same as it used to be. So I don't know. I don't think there was a change made to her, but I could be wrong. But anyways, Dantalion was indeed changed. He did get a little bit of a buff. His active skill now does a burning damage for 3 rounds against all enemies. So that's not bad. His active skill only hits 4, but the burn damage hits them all. A boost to his HP went up from 25% I think to 40%, so a bit of an HP boost. He also now increases attack and damage reduction each round for 6 rounds. I don't know if that just starts from the beginning of the match and then after round 6 it quits. I don't know how that works. We'll see, I guess. And then his heal got changed. Instead of taking a certain amount of his attack as healing, he now heals for a percent of his missing HP when taking damage. So, I don't know if overall it was a buff or not to Dantalion. I haven't used him enough to know if this is going to change him that much. Still does extra damage to warriors, so that didn't change. I don't know, I'd have to build him to actually test it out, but it was a change. So you guys now know about it. It's a thing. With that said, though, Walter got a bit of a change as well, and so did Bloodblade. Not actually to them themselves as the heroes, but in the Aspen dungeon, Bloodblade's basic attack was nerfed, and Walter's chance to stun was nerfed. I went into the Aspen dungeon the other day to test it, and even my Walter was nerfed. So it wasn't just the enemy Walters that were having a lower stun chance. I dropped mine in there, and he was no longer stunning every hit either, so he was missing a lot of his stuns, and that's why he died so early on. So, Walter got a big nerf in the Aspen dungeon. I don't know if it was meant to hit player-bound Walters, but it absolutely did. So, I don't know. Maybe that was a bug. Maybe it was intentional. I don't know. So, that's out of the way. Time to talk about the new events and what's going on in the Idle Heroes world. And that's what we're going to do. Ice Cream Cottage opening for an hour or so. It's probably going to be closed by the time I get this up because of the mic delays, which is sad. But I went ahead and picked up all Prophet Orbs and then 2 Heroic Scrolls with the remaining ice creams. I actually brought it down to a nice, neat 0, and I like that. I like a good 0. It makes me happy inside. But Mid-Autumn coupons going on right now. I already picked one up because it was a good deal in my opinion. You're going to get 15,000 gems and 60 glory relics over the course of a month, plus the additional 502 relics when you first make the purchase. It lasts for 30 days, which is great. You get 500 gems every day and 2 relics every day, which is awesome. It is a little expensive, 50 bucks. It's kind of higher than obviously your monthly cards, but you do get more than a monthly card, and you also get the relics. And that's the main reason I picked it up, because those relics are pretty much be a whatever you want to get hero or pretty much item out of the glory shop. You can pick it up at the end of the month. So that was cool for me. I went ahead and bought it. You don't have to. I think it's a pretty decent deal. Being as you can't stack monthly cards on top of each other, this will allow you to stack this with a monthly card, and you get about 1,000 gems a day. I like it. That's what I went for. Obviously, you don't have to pick it up, but I decided to. So it's thing. Value packages. As you can see, Heroic Summon Scrolls, which would probably give it away. This is going to be a Heroic Summon event. It's thing. Summon package. Apparently, they brought Xiao back here for a higher chance to be gotten out of the summons, which is fine by me. I don't know yet if I'm actually going to do the summons. I probably will end up doing it because I need to. I probably will do it. Even though I can't full complete, I'll probably do it. But summoning prizes. As you can see up here, it is repeatable. So it looks as though the devs decided to make, at least so far, the casino event was fully repeatable. I didn't think it had a limit on it either. And then the Heroic Scrolls also are repeatable now, so up to 4 times. You can't go higher than 4, but that's still a lot of heroic summons. I'm assuming Prophet Orbs will follow a similar trend, and maybe even Heroic Miracle. We'll see how that goes. Bet, throat clear. Rewards are kind of standard to start things out with. Your first 300 points are going to reward you with 15 Prophet Orbs and 30 Heroic Scrolls, and your 5 Soul Symbols. Nothing out of the ordinary there. But your 400 and 500 points are going to be a little different. 400 is going to give you a Xiao copy, which really makes me want to push a little bit of money in to snag that Xiao copy out. I probably shouldn't, but I should. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Then 500 points is going to give you your 15 relics, which is pretty solid. It's a decent amount of relics. And obviously, being that you can complete that 4 times, you can snag a total of 60 relics, 4 Xiao copies, 60 Prophet Orbs, and then the 36, 91, 120 of the Heroic Summons. So, not a bad deal. Being repeatable, obviously, it's going to play more into spenders' hands than the free-to-plays, but it's still cool. I like it. I'm down. Mid-autumn discount, kind of oddly worded event. It's not really a discount. It's just that after you spent $70 in the game, you get the skin. So it's not like a discount at all. But it is a Mulan skin. I watched Mulan back when I was younger. Not a bad movie. Not a bad movie for young children and old people. It works. But that's the new skin you get if you spend $70. It's kind of cool. I'm alright with it. And then you got the mid-autumn welfare, which again, I don't know, I don't understand the name, I guess, but whatever, it's thing. If you sign in for 5 days consecutively, if you accumulated login since you started playing the game, you're going to get your little Easter bunny avatar. Woo! Hot. I don't know why there's a bunny, but there's a bunny. It's a thing, okay? So just deal with it. If you logged in for 30 days, you grab a free 20 Heroic Scrolls, which is nice. And then if you've logged in for 100 days, you get a free Elite 5-star Fragments. Obviously, I've already done that. I went ahead and opened mine up in my other recording that is now butthole and not usable. And I pulled an Aiden, so woo, it was awesome. It wasn't. I was really disappointed. But it's whatever. Hero Exchange also going on in the altar. As you can see, Vesa copy and Das Moog. It's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then we got the Grey Dwarves Blessing. As you notice, the Time Runner is not a 1-week event. This is a 2-week event. So once the other events end, this will still be going. If you guys don't know what this does, essentially it allows you to forego the requirements of having 3 full sets of gear to fuse up the next tier. Instead, it substitutes a gold cost and a gem cost in. So you can do 1 set of 4-star gear and make it a 5-star set with 40 million gold and 1,500 gems. It's actually not really a terrible idea. There's quite a bit of a boost between the two. You're talking about 7,000 HP on the boots to 20,000 HP on the boots. Obviously a pretty big jump. Same for the chest piece, 10,000 to 30,000, 1,500 to about 2,400. So there's a big jump between the 2 tiers. As you go down, you can do the same thing with a 5-star set into a 6-star set, which again is going to give you quite a bit of return in stat boost, but it is more expensive. It's 60 million gold and 2,500 gems to make that 6-star set. And finally, we've got the 6-star set fusing into a plus. And you're wondering maybe what the plus is, or you've already checked it out because you're like me and you're curious. They've added 2 new sets, specific 6-star sets. They've got the priest set here, which is going to boost your attack and HP by stupid amounts. It's like 30-something% attack and HP boost with the priest set, which is actually not bad. And they also added the warrior set, the War Master suit. So that's kind of cool. Those have been added. Obviously, you can pick whichever one you want. Mage, Assassin, Warrior, Ranger, or Priest. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet. One, I don't have the gold to do it, but I probably can get there by the time the event ends. I don't know. I'm debating between the Priest set for the E3 Vesa, maybe the Warrior set for the E3 Sigmund / Gru when I get to that point. I don't really know. Maybe Assassin. Maybe Assassin for Xiao. We'll see if I get there, but it's going to cost you 100 million gold and 4,000 gems. It is pretty expensive, but the lucky side of it is, of course, it only takes 1 set of 6-star gear to do that. If you guys don't know, if you're running a unit that's not like this class specific, like if you run 6-star Ranger gear on a Warrior, you're going to get less of a buff than just running flat 6-star gear on a Warrior, because it's mainly meant to boost a Ranger. So something to keep in mind there. 6-star class-specific gear is not necessarily better than 6-star gear unless it's on the class that it's intended for. So keep that in mind. But that pretty much wraps up the events and what to do in them. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the hero exchanges because, A, I need Vesa. If you guys don't know about the official account here, I've been worried about Vesa forever. Been trying to get that last copy to get her to E3. That's my last copy. However, Das Moog I've also got 2 copies of, and I would like to build him because I've heard some very good reviews about his PvE damage. Now, my luck, I'll build him and he'll get changed the day I build him, but that's a pretty... I've heard some really crazy numbers, like 800 million damage, crazy stuff. Is it true? I don't know. I don't really go and research it. I just like to hear stuff like that. Then I test it out, and if it's legit, it's legit. If it's not, it's not. Throat just like seized up on me. It was amazing. So I'd like to get a copy of him as well out of the event, but it's kind of expensive. It's going to set you back, get rid of you. As you can see, I have no 3 stars, just the darks and the lights. And I've got 8,080 of the altar stones. So if I do my 300 heroic scrolls that I can do, 300 summons, I'll get enough 3 stars probably to be able to fill the gap and hit that 10,500 stone mark so I can buy both Vesa and Das Moog, and if I pick up both of them, that would be fantastic. It means I could E3 Vesa, no sweat, no problem, that's done. I could also potentially have a 9-star Das Moog eventually down the road, and it frees up my Glory Holy Relics. I don't know why they picked that name, but it's going to free those up to pick out whatever hero I want. So I could pick out another Das Moog if I wanted to, or perhaps I want to come over here and snag out some Xias or Sigmunds for my PvE team. It frees up my stuff to be able to use where I want it to use it. So that's kind of nice. We'll see. Hopefully I can make it there. It's thing. It's thing for sure. So I guess we can talk about the heroes that are listed in the events as rewards, just so you guys can kind of, I guess, if you don't know what they do, you'll know a little bit about them. I'm not going to cover the heroes in the Ice Cream Cottage because it's going to be probably over by the time you see this anyway, due to the late start in the video. But we've got Xiao to cover, and we've got Vesa and Das Moog. Those are the heroes that are offered on the event, so let's see. We'll start things out here with Xiao, like boom, and like boom, and like bam. Xiao. I would say, personally, as someone who doesn't go high into the PvP rankings, I'm not, the light dark team, go PvP all day. I really don't do that. So I don't know how she fares in top end PvP. It's not my forte. However, I can tell you right now, she will do amazing boss damage, and she'll absolutely nuke the balls out of early to mid game PvP units. Mainly because she has such high damage. Her active skill deals 396% of her attack as damage against the enemy with the highest attack, which is actually really cool because it also decreases the attack of that unit, which means their highest, strongest, biggest, nukiest unit just got weakened. If you're fighting bosses, obviously it's going to do the same thing for the boss. It's going to reduce that boss's attack, so they're not hitting quite as hard, and it may save you some, teammates dying and stuff like that. Really solid support actually built into this damage. That's a lot of attack debuff. 40% of your attack, that's a lot. That's a lot of a debuff. And then it gradually decreases by 10% each round. So it does lower the balls out of someone's attack. It's not bad. But it also does 290% of her attack as bleed damage for 2 rounds. So not only is the active skill hit really hard, nearly 400% of her attack is damage, it also levies a very heavy bleed and an attack break on the enemy. So really solid for boss fighting, but also if you carry that over to PvP, that's going to hit really hard against somebody that the enemy team is obviously planning on doing a high amount of damage. They've bumped attack on it a lot. If you drain that attack, it's no longer as effective as a unit. So definitely solid damage there. The first pass is going to boost your attack, block, control immune, and speed. The big things there is the control immune. 30% control immune is awesome. That works in boss fights, obviously, as well as PvP. Control immune is a very good passive to have. She's got it. But also she has 70% block, which normally you'd say is kind of a meh, it's not that great, it's just block. But because of this next passive here, when she blocks successfully, increases her crit by 20% and attack by 15% each round for 4 rounds, that block now means something. Anytime she blocks, she actually gets stronger and hits harder, better crits, better damage. So that's really cool. So the block actually plays kind of a role with Xiao, whereas in other heroes, other than Mickey, it's not really a thing. Last thing here, her basic attack does 260% of her attack as damage against the enemy with the lowest HP, and then deals a 180% of her attack damage dot for the next 2 rounds. That's strong. That's a basic attack that's hitting crazy hard, and it hits the enemy with the lowest health. So not only will she finish units off as they get weak with her basic attack, but even a strong unit is still going to get hit with a pretty heavy damage and a nasty bleed effect just from her basic attack, and then obviously her active hits much harder, but still, no matter what attack she is using, it's going to hit hard. And that's what I like about her. As you can see, she also has the highest attack stat in the game right now, over 40,000 stock. That's not bad at all. It's actually very good. So really, really cool unit. I can tell you right now, fantastic for boss damage. Will work great in the early game PvP. Destroying people with one-shot nukes. Like I said, I can't tell you how she works in the light dark wars and stuff like that with the high-end people. I'm not there. I don't really ever plan to be there. It's a little too outside of my money range. So whatever. Like I said, she'll still work for the vast majority of the game. That control immune passive does help her in the Aspen dungeon as well to nuke people down. Tough nodes maybe. Throw a demon potion on her, walk in there and let her clean house, but with no healing until she's E3, maybe a little bit sketch for the Aspen. We'll see. But definitely solid in boss damage. That's Xia's big shining point. The next one up here is going to be Vesa. Everybody by now knows about Vesa. She's a very common knowledge unit, and she's good. You're probably going to build a Vesta if you want to maximize your early game content. She's going to work great in the Aspen Dungeon with her high heals and her good damage. Pretty solid active skill damage. 272% against 4 random enemies isn't bad, and it's coupled with a nice little heal that lasts 6 rounds for your entire team. So that's not bad. Basic passives here, giving attack, HP, and crit. The crit's actually pretty high, 35%. That plays into Vesta's role as being able to nuke in early to mid-game PvP, because she does hit really hard, and she has a high crit chance. It works. Once you get to late game PvP, absolutely not. She will get crowd controlled to death, and it's no big deal. She's just not used there anymore. But like I said, for the vast majority of the game, Vesta's fantastic. Every attack you do with her is going to heal you, so it heals Vesta herself, and it gives her extra attack, so her heals get even stronger, which is really nice. Pairs well together. And the last thing, when she falls below half health, she has a 100% chance to silence for 1 round all enemies, and increases her own crit damage by 60% for 6 rounds, which isn't bad. The silence isn't quite as useful as you'd think. It doesn't really play a big role because she's so slow. Usually it's not a big deal, but whatever. The nice thing is the crit damage for 6 rounds. That is pretty decent. But Vesta works fantastic in early boss fights, actually all the way to the end game in boss fights, because she heals your entire team. It boosts your entire team's survivability. The longer your team stays alive, the more damage they can do. So definitely solid all the way through the end game for PvE damage. When it comes to the Aspen Dungeon, by the time you're starting to push towards Hell, can she make it to Hell? Yes, but it's going to be hard because there's a lot of nodes that give Vesta trouble that doesn't necessarily hurt other units. Like an E3 Gru is not bothered by the same nodes that an E3 Vesta will be bothered by. You know what I'm saying? So she has a little bit more issue getting to Hell in the Aspen Dungeon for late game Aspen. But she can do it. It's just hard. It's just going to be difficult for you to do. But a really solid all-around unit. Absolutely worth a build, in my opinion. There's not a single person in the game, I would say, who's going to build a Vesa and then regret building it. It's just probably not ever going to happen. Really solid unit, worth the build. And last up will be Das Moog. Now, I'll go ahead and say it. I have very little experience actually building Dark and Light heroes. I've only ever built Amuvor to E3 and Faithblade, I think, to 10 star. The rest I've never I took Gurki to 10 as well. But I've never taken any of them really beyond that because, A, they're really hard to build, and I don't like to focus my teams around them because I'm not building all Light and Dark teams. However, I've heard amazing reviews of Das Moog. Absolutely crazy claims of him hitting 800 million to even 1 billion damage alone, by himself, in a team, obviously. You have to have the team with him. But very heavy PvE damage. Also, because he's a dark unit, you see him a lot in high-end PvP, because he's going to help complete those auras, the good versus evil aura, light and dark, that give your team a natural 30% crowd control resistance, which is very handy in late-game PvP, where you're trying not to get crowd controlled and deal as much damage as possible. So pretty much a great unit from everything I've heard. I haven't really heard a lot of people say Das Moog sucks. Not many people have said that. Some may have. I haven't heard them. But instead of scaling with attack or crit like other units, Das Moog scales with skill damage. That's what a lot of his skills give him, his passives give him. As you can see, his active skill doesn't hit very hard, 115% of attack damage against all enemies, with a 50% attack bleed. That's not a heavy dot, and it's not a heavy damage, but he's also going to increase his skill damage by 50%. If the target's a ranger, they also bleed a little extra, so it is a little extra damage versus rangers. But the big thing is he gets a 50% boost to his skill damage. That's a lot of skill damage boost. When you look at his first passive, though, you're going to see he has a native 62.5% increase to skill damage. So his skill damage is already at 100 and something percent by the first time he casts his active skill. That's not bad. Also boosting his attack and HP here for a pretty tanky ranger. Not bad. The second passive is going to have, every time he does a basic attack, he boosts his own attack and his speed for 3 rounds. So that's going to boost his attack, which boosts his damage, and boosts his speed, so he does go a little earlier for PvP, which isn't bad. But the last pass is where a lot of his damage... sorry. Words. A lot of his damage comes from. And that's going to come from every time your allies cast their active skill, he's going to gain 20% skill damage and 30 energy. In the first couple waves, that's not a huge deal. You're looking at what? Still about 120% skill damage increase, but since there's no round timer on it, by the time Dasmog makes it to wave 10, wave 11, he's got a huge amount of skill damage built up, not just because of his passives and his actives, but because every time your allies are casting their active skills, he's getting skill damage that never goes away. So by the time you get to like wave 15 on a boss, I can see Dasmog nuking for stupid amounts of damage in a single hit, due to the fact that he has so much skill damage already built up. So, kind of an interesting build there. I really want to get into building one. I've got 2 copies working for the third, but definitely a solid unit so far as I've heard. That rhymed. It was awesome. But anyways, from what I hear, great unit, but I can't say 100% because I've never built him yet. Okay, that's keyword to take away there. But that's all the heroes from the event. All the stuff we need to worry about. The coupon, I think it's a good deal. If you don't want to spend money, you don't have to, but I kind of liked it, went ahead and picked it up. Sad thing was there's no extra VIP points for buying it, which is a little bad, but whatever. It's thing. It's thing. Xiao coming out of the Sun pack, I just talked about that. I think I'll probably end up doing 300 heroic scrolls. I've got 283, so I'll get the extra 30 for the first 200 points here. Whoops, boop. First 200 points gives you 30 extra scrolls, which puts me at 310 scrolls, so I can get all the way to the 300 point mark. The main reason I want to do that is not only for the fodder units to put in the altar so I can get those altar stones, but also it's going to net me 15 profit orbs, which is good. I need profit orbs for the next profit event. I've only got 95. That'll bring me to 110. So we'll be very close to completing it, and that's my big motivation for going early on this heroic scroll event. Not to mention there's a higher chance of getting Xiao, who I am building, so it's worth in my opinion. Normally, I save for full completions, but like I said, in this case, there's, like I said, in any situation, there's always going to be, variables that decide whether or not you wait or don't. And this time, because there's Vesa and Dasmog on offer in the altar shop, I want to go ahead and be able to get enough altar stones to get both of those units out, because they're both worth, decline, go away, unprofessional, get out of there, would be at the end of the video, but I want both of those units really bad. So there's extra, I guess you would say, circumstances that mean I want to go early with my heroic scrolls and not wait till I have a full 500 for a completion, because I might get something good. And like I said, I might spend a little bit of money. I know it's stupid, but I might grab an extra 100 scrolls to guarantee a Xiao copy from the rewards, because I am building her, so why not? But that's kind of the game plan for now, for the events. We might do that tomorrow or something. We'll see. But that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please make sure, smash that thumbs up button to show your support. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well. And tell your friends about it, because that definitely helps me out a lot. And I will see you guys in the next one.